Good evening, everybody. Yes, welcome to another fun-filled episode of WrestleZone Unfiltered. We are back, and look at that. We're only 5 after 9. Paul, we are doing well tonight. How are you, Paul?
I'm happy that we're doing better.
We are trying to be on time.
We're trying our best.
Are you sore this week? Any good?
No, I took the week off. Just hoping to refresh. You know what I mean? Let's relax for a bit. Let's let everything heal the way it needs to heal, and then we'll come back hot.
Well, if you watch Wrestlepalooza Saturday night, it looks like they took the night off too. That was fucking horrible. It was awful.
Okay, so here's the deal where it's like I didn't watch it, so I can't necessarily complain specifics with you, but I have been reading on some of the outside of the show stuff. Like there was a ESPN article that gave it a C.
Yeah, and then they turned around and gave the following Monday Night Raw an F.
So that I think is immensely interesting. So I don't know if you have any specific beefs with Wrestlepalooza you want to go over, but boy, I'm interested with the ESPN stuff.
Well, I mean, I didn't read the whole thing. I just caught the synopsis of it, but taking out any specifics they said, because again, I didn't read the whole article. I just like, fair. But they thought they were going to get a much better high octane show for the first major thing on ESPN to try to get people picking up that app. Because to add, and I don't know what it is by itself. I mean, I briefly looked at it because I told you I won't pay for it unless there's a whole lot more being thrown to that app as far as football, baseball, stuff to that nature. I'm not going to simply pay for it just for the WWE. Now, if the WWE comes along with other stuff that I'm going to watch and make it worth my while, sure, no problem. But I've got Disney, I've got Hulu, and no, I never canceled my Hulu and Disney subscription. No, I stayed loyal to the mouse. But it's categorized in, it's grouped in, it's all three of them for $29.99 is what they've got going on. So you're not simply paying $29.99 just for the ESPN app.
No, I can see that. Yeah, that's
that's the way they kind of made it seem when everybody was reporting on it, that you were going to have to pay $29.99 simply for the ESPN app. So it's grouped in. I mean, they might have split it up somewhere now where you can get it by itself, but I think a lot of people expected a whole lot more. I mean, Pat McAfee, they were calling for commentary. He came out on the first match, and kind of went away after that. He wasn't there the whole night. It was Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, which I don't mind. Michael Cole's grown on me the past 30 years. I like him better a whole lot more than I used to. I like Barrett on commentary. He does a good job. But I mean, just if you're going to let somebody squash John Cena in the opening match, it goes back to the Undertaker match at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar does not need that rub. He didn't need it with Taker. He didn't need it with Cena. So why even have the match? I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's Brock Lesnar, so it's completely believable. I mean, at 50 years old, the man looks bigger than I've seen him in 20 years. I mean, he looks like a beast. But I mean, it was a squash match. I don't know how else to word it. I mean, Cena did get him in the AA and like did 3 consecutive AAs on him, and I think he might have got a 2 count, but I think it was just a 1.
Boom! Shoulder gets up immediately.
Yeah, pretty much. It was not the Ric Flair, the kick out of just to roll the shoulder up at 2 and 99.9.
I think that might be their fundamental problem. There was so in New Japan, I'm going to use a small analogy here. Is in New Japan, what they do is they have tours, and at the end of the tour, they have a big show. That whole tour is now called the Road to Blank. Road to Tokyo Dome, Road to whatever. Those Road to shows, I guess the term is like status quo. The status quo doesn't change on the Road to shows. They're just smaller shows, so they can highlight more. So the New Japan show that was on the other day was a smaller show where their main event was like 2 light heavyweight guys. So we know as fans, hey, this isn't going to be a big event. This is just going to be a Road to. Don't have your expectations too high. So when you go into that, you can go, oh, my expectations were too high, so that was fine. I think WWE had the opposite, where they're like, big deal, big deal, big deal. And then they put on a Road 2 show and everybody went, oh. Like, the show probably would have been fine if you didn't make it such a big deal. ESPN's first show, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, but it's like you might have too big for your britches. Is that an American expression you guys use down there?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the thing for me, like the best match of the night, in my opinion, was Io Sky and Stephanie McCur.
That's what I've heard also, yeah. So,
but that one could have also been a lot better. Both those women are phenomenal, and they could have that match could have been better, but it was by far, in my opinion, the best wrestling match of the night. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed went over on the Usos, which in my opinion, that's the right call.
I didn't honestly never even heard that match happen, so I guess that's how much of a splash.
Well, it wasn't. It was just. I mean, the Usos. I mean, who's been talked about the past 15 years in tag team wrestling? The Young Bucks and the Usos. And I don't know if it's still a young thing with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker that not even the Usos could get a good match out of them in a tag team match, or I just didn't enjoy the match. It's the Usos, and no, they're not the Midnight Express. They're not Bockwinkel and Stevens, but
they're good athletes.
By today's standards, they're up there. But
and if you want to view it in a certain lens, when they had their super hot run as a tag team, there's only like 2 other tag teams, like Los Matadores. Like that was when you were hot.
Well, like, that and they had the feud going back and forth with the New Day for forever and a day. So
the New Day, I can respect that feud because that went on to a couple good moments. But I feel like the Usos, when they were a tag team, when they were the Polynesian tag team, they had a couple. The Undertaker. They had a couple bumps in the road.
Oh no, they were greener and goose shit when they brought them in with that tribal gimmick when they first came in. No, I agree.
I think that's survivable. I think their opponents.
I think they've done well, to continually and gradually. I don't want to say reinvent, because that's not what they've done. They've evolved over the years.
Like they've survived.
Yeah, survived and evolved. They went from the tribal Polynesian gimmick into then the Uso Penitentiary and then into the bloodline. I mean, I think
I did like when they were the Uso Penitentiary, and I believe that's when they gave us the best moment of modern WWE. I would say is New Day was doing that. What do you call it? I forget what it's called, but it's like you have a match, and then you have a match right after, and you have a match right after. And
the gauntlet match.
There you go. Thank you. They were doing a gauntlet match, and they were dead. They were totally beat up. They had the worst brutal match, and the Usos walk out as their next opponents and go, "Nah, we're cool."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
That was honestly probably one of the best WWE moments, and that attitude that they had gave us that, where we understood.
They actually pulled out the Uso Penitentiary line on Friday night. They were already in Indianapolis, and Paul Heyman and the boys got there. When on Friday, when Lesnar was leaving, if anybody didn't see it, he walked straight up to Heyman, and the last time you saw him and Heyman, of course, with Roman, and that last man standing match where the whole bloodline put 7,500 pounds on top of Lesnar with chairs and table and all that other stuff. And that was his last match for a while. Mm-hmm. And Lesnar goes walking right up to Paul, and he looks down at him. He said, "Call me." And I'm like, oh. So when that was actually, for me, and this will tell you how bad the match was. Mm-hmm. For me, the best part of the Lesnar Cena match was when Lesnar was in the ring, and whichever one of those ring announcers, they got 400 of them, was getting ready to announce Brock Lesnar. Heyman comes out and does the introduction and gives Lesnar the big high five, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna put them back together. Is he gonna become part of the vision, or what are we doing here? But that was honestly that should tell you all about that match you need to know. Was Paul Heyman coming out and introducing Lesnar
was the best part of the match, which is probably fair.
And then you got, like I said, the women's match. It was I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if it was the way the match was scripted out. It doesn't matter, but like I said, it was the best match of the night to me. And then tag team match wasn't that great. The Then you had the mixed tag, which everybody was all excited for. And to me, the right call was made for CM Punk and AJ Lee to win, because if they lost, where do you go with a storyline?
It looks silly, and you can't have a DQ finish for this match because then it looks odd. You need a decisive victory right now, then you can schmoz later.
Well, the only thing was that I didn't like about it is, and I love AJ Lee. I did back then before she ever married Punk. I loved her little crazy ass. So her character, the way she portrayed it, I loved AJ Lee. I was glad to see her back. But she made Becky tap out. And I didn't like that. I mean, it goes back to, Punk wrestled, he wrestled in AEW. He was training for MMA. He was, he was physically active over that 10-year hiatus from the WWE. AJ has not been. I mean, she did some commentary on women in wrestling. She's made some Comic-Cons. I mean, she's in great shape. Don't get me wrong. But to come back and tap out somebody that you've elevated to the top of the card over 50% of the men's roster that you put over them and tap her out, to me was the wrong call. To me, it should have been like a quick roll up or, some kind of pin or something, not tapping out Becky Lynch yet.
Use your intelligence. Then you could go, see, these old veterans are wily, and that's why you have to be careful as a young buck wrestling.
She's crafty.
But I've seen that with so many older characters that still works. There's certain guys like Toru Yano in Japan has 1,001 tricks. I think he's almost 50, but they let him beat a bunch of people because tricks. It's okay John Moxley lost to him, and it's okay because it's a trick. He just got you with one of his tricks. He gets it. You know what I mean? Like, if it was one of those, I would totally get it. She's a wily vet, and she got a weird thingy on you, but it's sort of like the repetition of a problem that people are observing with WWE, where it's all their old timers are at the top of the card and all their young people are on the bottom of the card, and it's staying like that.
Well, like I said, so they got the win, so that feud will continue. You'll see AJ Lee get a shot at the women's Intercontinental title. Of course, Punk's still chasing Rollins. Then you move to the main event, which in theory should have been a fantastic match. I'm real high on Drew McIntyre. I think Cody's done well since he's come back. But and from what I've read now, and you can take it with a grain of salt because it's reported on the internet, and we know that everything we read on the internet is 100%.
Why would someone go on the internet and lie?
But the reports on the internet were that Drew and Cody pitched the finish of having Drew win because Randy interfered, and not purposely causing Cody the title, but inadvertently causing Cody the title. And then it set up for Randy to slowly go the full blown heel turn and then have Cody chasing Drew to whenever they wanted to put it back on him. And the office, they thought about it according to the internet, they thought about it and they're like, nope. And, Cody beat Drew clean. It's like, how many times can you continue to beat somebody the size of Drew McIntyre clean and expect the fans to still take him seriously? And it reminded me like when, Cody beat him with one crossroads. And what's going through my mind at the end of that match was Hogan must pose. Hogan must pose. So, I mean, it was, to me, but you take the title aspects out of it, and it would have been a B+ Monday Night Raw for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like if Wrestlepalooza was a Raw, would it get a higher ranking if it was a televised show?
That's what I said. B+ Raw for me.
So yeah, okay, yeah, I got
for me. I mean, I'm you know how critical I can be, but I can also be laid back, and see where some of those. I'm a fan of what Paul Levesque has done as far as going back to like a 4 or 5 match PLE. Being 2.5 hours long. You're not sitting there for 6 hours. That's not a knock on anybody else. It's just that's my attention span. You're 2 hours, 45 minutes. You get, you're going to get good matches because they're not going to put people on there with a 4 or 5 match card that cannot go. Then they know that if they don't go, that how much, hell they're going to catch on the good old internet for how bad their match was in a 4 or 5 match PLE. So, I'm a fan of those. You go back to, those older WrestleManias and, they got 16, 17, 18 matches on the card, but a lot of them are nothing. 2 and 3 minutes. 2 and 3 minutes long.
But okay, so I will agree with you here on a philosophical level. And this might sound weird, but it's like I hate when people are like, they should be on the show. They should be on the show. They should be on the show. This person's not on Mania. This person's not on Mania. Look, if the story for the year does not have this person on Mania, that's fine, because you can make Mania smaller and focus on the few big stories you have. If you have 1,001 people on the card, less of the card is important. I've heard criticisms of some of the last few WrestleManias that they're too long. They're like 6 hour, 2 days, 6 hour events. You fade out after a while.
Well, yeah, the last one I really remember that was so long, it was when Brock faced Roman for the title, and it wasn't the Seth Rollins cash in, but it was Brock.
Is this the one that was outdoors?
I think so, but I'd have to go back and look. It was, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. But
yeah, I want to say I remember this show, and one of the problem is they didn't think of what the crowd would feel like sitting in the sun all day. So by the time, like, let's say you get to your seats at 3, 4, the show goes until 10, 11.
No. It was Roman and Brock's match ended at like 12:30.
Oh,
yeah, it was. I'm sitting there going, and it goes back to what I said about some of the AEW shows. Like I cannot sit there like that for 6-7 hours. I can't do it. I'm gonna pull my hair out before it's over with.
And this is a sort of stereotypical joke with watching New Japan shows, is like some of those shows are meant for the old people, like as a stereotype. So it'll start. If it was in Japan time, the shows start at like 4, 5. You get out at 7, 8. You're home. You can have dinner. It's so nice. But it's like, that would be a little bit better if you could get out at a decent hour and you're not driving home at 1, 2 in the morning. And oh my God, I can't imagine being at some of those shows and them being that long.
Yeah, they I think they announced the 26 Rumble already. I don't think it's going to be 2 nights, but I was happy about them going to 2 nights and the thing actually going off at like 11 o'clock versus almost 1 o'clock in the morning when they started doing it. I mean, I get it's 2 nights, but
it's too much. Honestly, I know it's not the best idea, but I would like separate them. Have a Royal Rumble every 6 months. Women's, men's. Like, if you win the Women's Royal Rumble, you either go to Mania main event or you get one of the other big pay-per-view main events, and you just build it accordingly.
Well, don't say that too loud, man. They might do it, but they'll just do it every 6 months with both of them, because that's the big stories coming out too.
That's what we want to do, is we want to exhaust our viewers.
Well, that's what I say. That's the stories coming out. The TKO just, it's very apparent they don't give a shit about the fans and what they think. That they're just, they're all about the bottom dollar and the profit, and that's why the ticket prices have been so high. And but main event, like I said, Cody beat Drew clean with a crossroads, and I felt bad for Drew because, again, how many times can you beat that poor man clean in the middle of the ring and still have the fans look at him as a main event type character? Which brings me to my next point.
Okay.
Paramount apparently is trying to merge or buy Time Warner. Have you heard that?
Like 30 years ago? Is this Time Warner? Oh, no.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah, but my brain immediately goes Time Warner AOL. Are we losing WCW?
Well, I said it wrong. So my brain in my mouth went 30 years ago. So have you heard that yet?
No, I have not.
Well, apparently reports are saying that because Paramount, whatever their parent company is, just signed the UFC to that big deal. Mm-hmm. That's going to put all their pay-per-views on Paramount for free. It was like a $1.7 billion deal. So that they're all their big shows, UFC, 698, whatever the number is going to be free on Paramount. And they are in the process of trying to buy or merge with Warner Brothers Discovery. But if it's a merger, Paramount's company will be the one that takes precedence. And they are saying that apparently AEW has been given permission to seek a new TV deal, because if it goes through, having TKO having the UFC on there and being the owner of WWE, they're not going to want AEW on their network to compete with what they own. So, AEW might be looking for a new home yet again. I mean, I don't think they'll have a problem finding one, but
no, I think in the public, like, they have a decent public eye. Like, they're not WCW. Like, they got some good people in charge of it in a sense where the infrastructure's there. They got toys. They got, you know what I mean? They're not like a bare bones company like ECW. They're a full fledged. Actually, I should not say ECW. I should say TNA, because I heard that TNA might be getting a TV deal. And there's a whole story about them becoming the number 2 company in the world, where I have opinions on that. But
I think that was part of, I think that was, not to interrupt you, but I think that was part of the motivation behind WWE partnering with them. It was to give them more, more exposure. And, from what I understand, they're trying to help them find a TV deal, on a major network like a CW or, something that's just in just about every home, and put it on Wednesday nights. I mean, I've heard that too. So
I definitely get that perspective. What rubs me the wrong way is the people are saying, oh, because basically what my objection is people think as soon as TNA has an association with WWE, they're better than every other. And part of me is like TNA's been TNA for TNA. I don't know if having the WWE back it is all of a sudden gonna bump it that much higher. I feel like realistically AEW is such a more cemented, I don't know if that's the best word, like company, like it's much more put together than TNA. So I feel like,
yeah, unfortunately, I mean, the best owner as far as a mind for the business they ever had, of course, was their original, was Jeff Jarrett and his father. But their funds were limited to what they could do with it. That's when they brought the Carters in, and it's just been one constant, clusterfuck, if you will, with TNA. And it depends on who's making the decisions. And the only thing I'll say in TNA's defense is when they had their partnership with AEW, Kenny Omega also won the TNA title. So I mean, it's been done before.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. I can definitely see that was like a weird partnership, but I don't know. Yeah, no, that was my only objection, is the sort of like feeling that people now have because there's an association with the two companies where there wasn't a week ago or a month ago in that sense. But that might just be a me problem. You know what
NXT, I mean? I was kind of curious what they were going to do Tuesday night. So yeah, they kind of hooked me in because NXT's premium live event is this coming weekend, which I will not watch. But they it was Obafemi against Trick, title for title, and the winner was going to defend both titles against Ricky Starks at Ricky Saints, whatever, at the pay-per-view. And the TNA people showed up to watch the match because their title was on the line. And Trick wound up, smacking the shit out of Santana. And then, of course, Santana went after him, and it was on double disqualification. Both belts stayed on, each person. And so, now they're setting it up. I don't know if they're going to do this is going to lead to a War Games type match or what they're doing, but now we're going to get the full blown NXT versus TNA. And I'm hoping that, somebody in TNA was smart enough when they negotiated this deal going, sure, you can win our world title. You can win our women's world title. But when it comes to a head, we have to come out on top, because I mean, how else is this going to do anything for us if we don't come out on top?
I think what's people are going to slowly realize is that they're not going to come out on top. You are now a cog in the machine that's going to be pushing upwards the entire time. So anybody good from TNA, you're bumped up to NXT, and you know what I mean, and upwards. And I don't think TNA's gonna get, again, personal opinion, I don't think TNA is gonna get the you rub my back, I rub yours.
Well, no, I agree, but I mean, shit, look at TNA. Half their rosters people that WWE's released. I mean,
we don't want you, we want you. But now we want you because there's competition. Now we want you because there's, well, even like MLP, some people are viewing as a competition because they're gaining so much traction fast.
Well, the funny thing it's not funny, but it's actually true that I've heard Eric Bischoff say was when he first took over WCW and they were so far down in the toilet that, people would talk about them being number 2. And he was like, I hated that. And they're like, why did you hate it? You were number 2. He goes, there was such a far disparage between the two companies to call us number 2 for what? He goes, there was them and there was everybody else. He goes, there was a large gap between the two when I took over.
And That's why, as much as I don't like it, I can definitely appreciate the saying it's an alternative to WWE. Look, I get that people treat WWE like a default, sure. Saying it's an alternative to WWE, that's, you know what I mean, harmless Myers. But it was, people are like, oh, it's the second or third company. It's like, now I feel like you're kind of digging an elbow in. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, to me, and like I said, this just could be my opinion, but
Mm.
the way I feel about it is if AEW had come out, and I mean, pick one, it doesn't matter, but if they had come out and tried to do something exactly like WWE, then why watch them? Why do you want to watch people that you don't know? I mean, you might know a few people, but why try to watch, something that you're not really familiar with, that they're just going to try to copy the other guys?
Exactly. And it's like, what's the point of watching TNA if TNA is just another filtered down version of WWE and you're not a fan of WWE? Find something else. You know what I mean? I was going to say hundreds of alternatives. There's dozens of alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that I think I told you before, that the only thing that Tony's really done, that I mean, there's a lot of stuff he's done I shake my head at, of course, but the one thing that he did that really just, I'm like, really, dude, was when he bought Ring of Honor. I was excited. I thought, with his money and everything, that we were going to get an NXT version for AEW, and I could get these people a lot of exposure. And if you can't find a TV deal with it, just go on YouTube. You're going to get viewers and get the viewership up. And when people see that people are watching, then you'll get a TV deal.
Hey,
just put some effort into it.
People pooped on AEW Dark and AEW Elevation, but if you go back to those playlists, they got fairly decent numbers for a YouTube show. Like, they're not, amazing numbers, but Peter Avalon's getting 500,000 views.
And
that
I mean,
doesn't hurt.
you could have done, for Ring of Honor, you could have, for me, and I mean, like, again, this is just my suggestion. They could have done it just like TNA did back in the old days. Found one arena to run it in. You tape, you have one show, you tape the next. So you're basically working them twice a month is all you're doing, unless you want
the
to
old NWA studios.
Yeah,
they did it modern. I feel like you have to fix the sound because it's so small, but why not?
Well, I mean, to me, I mean, it's not that I don't want them to fill up bigger arenas, but since they like being in the ECW arena, it not only looks better, but it sounds so much better.
Well, okay, so here's a different way of viewing it. People can say, oh, they're not in arenas. No, but they're in better suited arenas for the show. NXT, if they put the black and gold NXT in an arena, it would have been an empty arena.
Yeah.
You put it in Full Sail, that was a crazy show.
And what are the whole, like 500 people, something like that?
If that. And even that, I always bang on about Coker and Hall, and I think that's less than 2,000, 1,500, 1,700.
Well, like the pay-per-view when they did the first ECW one night stand, they did it at the what the hell is that hall?
It was the ECW arena, wasn't it?
No, it was one of the theaters that they did their pay-per-views at, Hammerstein Ballroom.
Oh, right.
And that was a WWE paid for show, but they did it there that might have held 2,500 people, maybe.
And remember that crowd? Everyone remembers that. People remember signs from that crowd. That's how memorable.
If Cena wins, re-riot.
Come on. That's what wrestling is like. That's what wrestlers beg for, is that level.
Well, it's not because I got to go backstage and meet the guys when I was younger. And it's not, maybe it is me being nostalgic from being a kid, but from when I told you, when going to Starrcade 83, I was in the nosebleed seats. I mean, it was, that's before my eyes started going. I was 10 years old. But you're watching it, but you can't really see, it's a wrestling ring. I mean,
it's like, well, here's another, I feel an anecdotal evidence of the smaller arenas are better. When I was a little kid, I went to see WWF at the time in the Sky Dome, 500 level, which is all the way at the top. And it's like, yeah, the ring's this big and you can't see nothing. We went recently, a few years ago. I want to say it was called the Hershey Center in Toronto. It's like a OHL, not NHL, OHL. So everything's smaller. And we had nosebleeds. We literally had the second last row in the entire arena. And the ring was this big. We saw everything clearly. We could see the sweat drip. I'd pay for that any day.
Well, this is like I was getting to is like, I just remember how well I enjoyed those shows that I got to see at the high school gyms. Just you were seeing the stars; they were all there. Rick, Wahoo, Piper, Ivan Koloff, Ricky Steamboat. This old school NWA for those you wondered. But in the high school gym, that you saw the action. You weren't squinting your eyes. It was, you weren't being trampled because there were so many people there. And
hearing on the strikes, that makes it so much better if you're close enough. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah. But I mean, I don't, like I said again, you never know how true things are. But I mean, if if the rumors are true, then the AEW is going to be looking for another TV deal here if that merger gets close or goes through or whatever, buyout, whatever the hell it is. And then we continue on through the weekend. And I did see I didn't see the pay-per-view Saturday, but I saw the replay. And as I thought, Fletcher and Adam Page had one hell of a match. They really put Fletcher over, even though Peckerhead kept the title. But I was right. Chris Statlander is your new women's champion. What do we have to say about that? And Jamie, not only that, but she pinned the champion clean.
And I remember that match being one of the better matches from that whole event too. I don't feel like I was too excited going into it, but like as you're watching it, you're like, oh, and next thing you know, you're like leaning in, you're like gamer mode, like, oh my God.
Well, yeah, I mean, Chris has been there since day one, little character changes, little subtle changes after she got hurt and kind of, morphed into what she is now, but she deserves it. I mean, Tony had a great run, give her a little bit of time off and bring her back. And, maybe she'll go after the TBS championship or something. Cause she already beat.
Tony doesn't need it. She can do whatever.
No, she's so over. I mean, no, she'll be fine without it. And, give her a little bit of a break and then bring her back. We got the reformation of the Jurassic Express, and it showed that Jack Perry was the one that dug up Luchasaurus and Frankenstein him back to life. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that part. No.
Did you see when Nick Wayne said Luchasaurus was going to be his substitute at the match against Cage and Cope with Kip Sabian?
What would have this been last week on Dynamite?
A couple of weeks back. What was the pay-per-view before this one?
I can't remember.
All right, the pay-per-view before this one was the first match that Cage and Cope teamed together. It was supposed to be against Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian. Nick Wayne broke his ankle.
Oh, right.
And he said something about, you think you've got me, but I'm always, no matter what you think, I'm one step ahead. And he looks up at the screen and, they show Luchasaurus laying there with oxygen and shit on him. And he raises up and takes the oxygen off. And then Cope and Cage turn around and he's behind him and he does a double choke slam.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since that time, they've showed, Wayne's gone because he's hurt. And they've showed, the constant dissension between Luchasaurus, at the time, Killswitch and Kip Sabian. And you see it brewing. And then last week on Being the Elite, when it goes off, Matt's opening the envelope. It's a knife and he pulls out the little note and it says, "Here, I figured I'd give you the knife for the next time you stab me in the back." And they knew it was from Jack Perry because if you're not aware, he's been making knives and selling them online. And so at the end of that 4-way tag match, Jack Perry comes out and attacks the Young Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go through and then finally the Young Bucks get the upper hand on him from a double super kick. And they've got him in the BTE trigger formation. He's just looking up like a psycho, smiling at him. And then the whole arena goes dark. And it goes back up to the screen. And then it shows, Jack throwing this down, almost like a Friday the 13th type scenario. He throws
like part 6. Yeah.
He throws a hook down and, then he's pulling the chain back up and it's a coffin and he's got the chain hooked to his car and it shows him pulling the coffin down the road with the sparks and everything flying. And then, then it shows Luchasaurus on the table where he had came back up from a few weeks back, but then it's showing you the whole thing. It shows Jack Perry doing like the reanimator thing of taking a big syringe and putting it in him or putting it in an IV, whatever it was. And
I appreciate you using that reference and not going straight for Frankenstein.
Well, the reanimator.
Reanimator is definitely like I know exactly what you're saying, but it's an odd movie choice. But
yeah, it's a little old. It's a little 80s.
Age. It's the out there. It's a little
80s, but But yeah, does that whole thing, and when he walks away and he's no longer in the camera shot, is when Luchasaurus comes to life and sets up.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And so then the lights come back up, and the Young Bucks turn around. There's Luchasaurus, but he's still wearing the Kill Switch belt. And after he choke slams him, they Jack Perry does the whole Shawn Michaels Diesel thing and jumps up in his arms and he's hugging him. Then he gets off and he looks down at the belt and he takes it off and he's looking at it. And he goes to hand it to Jack, and Jack's like, mm-mm. And he points to the fans. So he threw it out to the fans. And so the next week, I think, next week is the 6-year Dynamite anniversary, and Jurassic Express returns as a tag team. So if
they return as like badass tweeners, I'd be really happy. Like if they're a TMDK type where it's like we're baby faces, but we're fucking tough. So if any faces want to get some, we'll give, you can get some too. Because I can appreciate some of those characters because you can bend and weave. Like anybody can insult them in theory, and now you have a feud.
I didn't see the match, but Okada kept the what the hell title is it? The Unified title. Okada kept that title.
Okay, so I have a note about this match. And this note says, it reminds me of Shawn, Triple H, and Benoit, where 3 men belong to as being the best, and 2 are too focused on each other to acknowledge that the third one, it deserves to be there. Because Takeshita and Okada, you know what I mean? They had a couple of those anime glare moments where they would do something and then turn to each other and look at each other and the crowd would go crazy. And Dorada is just trying his best to like, hey guys, I'm in this match too. But it's like those 3 are arguably, after seeing that, those 3 are in the top 10 of best professional wrestlers alive right now.
Yeah, I mean, I had no doubt. I've told you before, Takeshita's my favorite in AEW. He has been for a while. I love his entrance. I love his no pun intended, but that stone cold look he keeps on his face. He really never breaks.
He has a good
poker face.
He has a good looking face in the sense of like when he looks serious, you go, oh. Some people don't have that like I look mean while I'm serious. Mark Briscoe still looks a little bit silly when he's mean because he's Mark Briscoe. He's a little bit silly. Takeshi's got that like you're getting it. And he's a G1 winner. He's going to be main event Tokyo. Like everyone believes in this guy. He's working for 3 different companies at the same time.
Well, you brought up Mark Briscoe, so we'll go to that one next. Did you see that? Did you see that match?
I saw that match. Yeah.
Did you watch Dynamite last night?
I did not. No, the last weekend was so much wrestling. I couldn't.
Well, they showed a promo with MJF. After the match,
was it him sitting on like steps?
Yeah, him sitting on the steps.
Yeah, I remember that coming up in the news feed. Yeah, go ahead.
And he just basically talked about how, that he was one time the most promising, brightest star in professional wrestling, and he was so head and shoulders above Adam Page and Will Ospreay, and he brought up somebody else, and that now he was light years behind them all, and his life was going great until Adam Cole came into his life and. Not in hell, right? Not only messed that up, but broke his heart as well. I mean, it was for MJF, it was I don't legit's not the right word I'm looking for, but I mean, it sounded plausible for what he was saying.
Grounded, right? Yeah. Like,
and he was still with that cocky attitude, but said that he was going to go away for a while, and they would not see him again until he had figured out. He was talking about having doubt. He's like, you see all these tacks in my trunks. Everyone represents a piece of doubt. And he said, I'm not going to come back until all my doubt's gone. And I'm the best version of MJF you've ever seen. And, basically telling everybody that they better watch out because when he comes back, it's going to be 10 times worse than it ever was before when he was on top of the world.
You want to know what's so great about that promo? Is I totally understand everything you just said from the perspective of him saying that. I haven't seen the promo. I have heat with him because of this promo. That, while believable, is so full of baloney on a kayfabe, no kayfabe level. Kayfabe, he is he is one of the top guys because after he made that promo about, oh, I'm not one of the top guys, he wrestled Mystico in Japan and arguably had the best match in the whole weekend. And how is that? You went and wrestled a wrestling god the day after. You're like, my life sucks. So, well, it's a good promo, and I totally believe it in the AEW kayfabe context. The other part of me is like, MJF, you're MJF. You're literally one of the top guys. So I think you're fine. I think you're good.
Yeah, but if you look at where he's coming from in the AEW universe,
and that's what I mean.
He lost to Ospreay, he lost to Page, he just lost to Mark Briscoe. I mean, it's like loss after loss after loss. It's coming his way when he went almost 2 years without losing a match.
And what's so funny is it's like, oh, I lost to Michael Jordan, I lost to Larry Bird, I lost Magic Johnson. Yeah, everyone loses. But yeah, no, I totally get the context. But this is good.
I don't know if he's just taking some time off, if he's got another movie he's going to film. I don't know what he's doing, but he, according to him, he's not going to be back for a little bit. So
they love him in Mexico, though. So as far as we know, or I can kind of guess, either he's taking some time off, heal some wounds, or you're going to Mexico for a couple months, and then you're going to come back and have a big.
Does he still have that CMLL title?
I don't think so. I believe he lost the match to Mystico.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that is over with.
So then of course, you had FTR against Cage and Cope. I saw the highlights. It was a good match. I don't know. I used to really like FTR, and now I'm just like, ugh.
They've lost all their aura, what these kids are calling it now these days. But it's like, they're not as hot as they used to be. It's sort of there. That match was definitely there on the card.
Yeah, and they showed, I don't know if they showed this on the pay-per-view, but they showed last night. I guess you saw Beth come out and then get pile drive by FTR. They did the spike pile driver on Beth. And then they showed last night him going to the dressing room and getting his bag together, and Christian's like, "What's up, man? What are you doing?" He's like, "Man, I can't keep doing this. This is just supposed to be me, and it keeps getting my family involved. This is not the first time. We're supposed to be just parents now." And he goes, "I can't keep doing this to my family." And Christian reaches over and he said, "I lost my family, so go take care of yours." And Cope went to walk away, and he stopped, turned back around. And he said, "You got a family, man. Don't you ever forget that."
It was all those children you stole along the way.
Well, and there's so much speculation now because of the back and forth with Edge and Cena, playing with each other online. And everybody's like, and I've heard he's leaving to go do a movie or something, and then he's coming back. But there's so much speculation online of, if he's still under contract, or, if his contract is up in October. They apparently extended whatever we heard in September, but it's, the next date I heard is sometime next month. It's like, if he really wanted to re-sign, would Tony be okay with letting him go work, one match with Cena's last match as Edge on Saturday night's main event and come back? There's a lot of speculation out there. So I can't see Tony doing it for the WWE. I can see it, if he really wants Cope to come back or re-sign, I can see that as part of the negotiations of him going, "Look, man, I don't want to go back there, but I would, let me go be John's last opponent."
I think there might be a little bit of precedent, because if we look carefully through the history books the last couple of years, Shinsuke Nakamura was given permission to go wrestle in Noah.
So
AJ Styles got to wrestle Marufuji in Noah, who is the giant black lad that the WWE has.
Omos.
He did a run in Noah. Not saying that, they have to do it in Noah, but it's like, I think WWE might be seeing a little bit of money in alternative companies. So it's like, what if they had it somewhere else? I don't know. I know the WWE would never do that. If they're having that match, they're having it on WWE. But having a one-off match.
Here's my thing with it, and this has like been my thing for a long time. And the older I got, I understood, because once a year back when I was a kid, the WWF champion and the NWA champion had a match somewhere at some big card. It was champion versus champion. And of course, it always ended in a time limit draw, count out, some kind of, non-flat finish. And
I do love the double pins where both their shoulders are on the ground. They just go, game over. Everyone go.
But you know, look at baseball's ratings when they started doing interleague play. They skyrocketed back up. Then they came back down and they started changing the rules for ADHD people that couldn't sit through a 3.5 hour baseball game. But the NFL,
like 9, but
like the NFL, they incorporate, the AFC versus the NFC throughout the year, even though that's the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA East versus West, hockey East versus West.
Everybody loves a gimmick. Up in Canada, we have, I forget the official name, but it's like something classic, and they get all the players from the 70s and they play on a pond and it sells out. People love. I want to see Mark Messier, the guy from the 80s, play now. It's a silly little pond hockey game, but people love gimmicks. People love veterans. They do it for charity. There you go.
Well, can you imagine though? I know they did it because they were failing miserably, but take today's standards and do a super clash type card between, TNA, AEW, WWE, New Japan, whoever you wanted to get involved. The damn thing would blow numbers. Oh my God.
That was like the first Forbidden Door. That was how that was really marketed. It's very like us versus them, blah, blah, blah. And then
Tony signed all their stars.
But then there was a little bit of, oh God, there was a little, I remember LIJ teamed with Sting and Darby because that feels right. Okay, I could. But now the modern Forbidden Door is like, we'll get 3 people from New Japan. Yeah, Not even the fun ones.
and the thing is, to me, there would have to be a couple of things that would have to happen, but there's a lot better chance of it happening with a TKO owned WWE than it is with a Vince McMahon owned thing.
TKO will see money and go, yes,
yep.
yes,
and,
yeah.
And it's one of those things that when you don't sit there and wait till the day of, you negotiate that into your deal up front on who's going to go over when and this, that, and the other. So there's no question when you're going into the booking of this next pay-per-view, it's already negotiated in the deal that, okay, Seth Rollins is going over. No, this is Will Ospreay's turn to get. You get what I'm saying. It's already negotiated the end, so there's no egos to come back up and go.
And I think you can make it easier by not having it revolve around. I know this is not what people want, but if you put Brock Lesnar in a feud, doesn't matter. You're getting a Brock Lesnar feud. But it's like, imagine if we got like Darby Allin versus Chad Gable. You'd go, hold on. It doesn't matter who wins at that point because that's just such a unique pairing that you can book it however you want. Double count out, sure. Darby jumped off the cage and Cable caught him into a German. Boom.
And so you brought up Brock. He's the only one. I don't care what company he worked for if it ever happened. Let's just say for some odd reason his WWE deal ran out and Tony threw enough money at him. I don't care which company he worked for, but legitimately, there's nobody out there that can legitimately beat Brock Lesnar in the wrestling world, in my opinion. Maybe there's somebody overseas that might stand.
I'm just sort of like scanning my head, and it's like, because like New Japan's greatest sort of product was Okada, and he's the biggest sort of in that roster, and it's like,
the only one to me, and you got somebody else you might think of that would stand a chance against him would be Bobby Lashley.
Oh, if we're just talking about physical size, I think there's a couple guys that are like big brutes that would have amazing.
No, I'm not talking about just the size. I'm talking about the legitimacy of them.
Tomohiro, if they had Brock Lesnar versus Tomohiro Ishii, that would sell out any arena instantly. Because Ishii's just, for those who not know, he's a bit of a smaller guy, but not like a junior.
No, he's like 5'2" and 6 foot wide.
Yeah, like this. And he's really good at ring psychology. So his matches, he's had a lot of matches against like Moose and guys like that. And that's his bread and butter. He's the underdog. He'll take the damage and then he'll like charge up Super Saiyan and just fucking smash the guy.
Well, you bring up Moose and, not to get off topic, but get back to the NXT TNA thing. When they did Moose against Oba and Oba pinned him flat, I'm like, what is that? Why?
Dude, Moose is great.
I know. He's always said he was comfortable in TNA. He did say that it was a dream to wrestle in a WWE ring, but he didn't want to work there full time. So he got to do that. But like I said, I wouldn't have cared if Oba would have won, like with some outside interference, whether, TNA inadvertently costing Moose the match with all their feuds with the system and everything they have going on in TNA with that. But, just to let Oba beat him flat. And I wouldn't have liked it if they let Moose beat Oba flat. You don't do that. Not on that show. Maybe in a pay-per-view, do you build it up? They went back and forth. That both of them are so damn big. It's very plausible one way or the other, but just to beat Moose flat on a TV show on a Tuesday night, I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. Like, you need some of those matches need to be multi-man matches, so a different person can take a pin. And you know what I mean? Like, big guy with a small guy, the small guy can take the pin. Big guy still looks fine.
And me being a tag team wrestler, wrestling, I've always loved tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's doing their best to make me hate it. I mean,
are you talking in general or specifically one company?
No, but all companies.
Oh, fair.
I mean, AEW's got the titles on Brodito. Come on, man. You got the Young Bucks, you got FTR, you got,
I know, but Brodito's a good choice for the move them up. You know what I mean? If that's what they're doing is building these guys up, because they're Ring of Honor talent, right? Technically,
Brody is not Bandito. But see, that was another point. I'm glad you brought it up, because
this might be why we disagree, and that's why if they're NXT talent being called up, I like it. That's my
Bandito is a Ring of Honor champion.
Yep.
Brody's never been
Brody.
Ring of Honor, and not since Tony bought it anyway. I don't know if he was ever there before, but and then you get the Wyatt Six as tag team champions over there on SmackDown. Damn, I don't even remember who the tag champions are on Raw. That shows you how much I'm paying attention there.
Oh, the tag team champions in New Japan, if I'm remembering correctly, is Taichi and Ishii. Even if you don't know who those guys are, I just said a name and a name. I didn't say a team name. So that shows you, I like that division over there, but I definitely can Knockout Brothers. That sounds like a tag team name to me. If it's blank and blank, yeah, it's not. You're not doing too good.
And unless they've lost them again, the Hardys are the TNA tag champions again.
Oof.
Let me see. Oh yeah, Finn Balor and JD McDonough, the Judgment Day, are the tag team champions on Raw. So, I mean, like I said, I love tag team wrestling, and they're doing their, and they've WWE set it up a couple of times between Phoenix getting jumped and Penta getting jumped, where you think you're going to get the Lucha Brothers and you just don't. And I'm just like, okay, I'm tired of waiting on that too.
Yeah. I get the idea of
when done right. I mean, people don't, remember, and all they got to do, if you want to really see what I'm talking about, go back and look it up, like some of the Japanese stuff Paul talks about. If you want to understand it better, the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express, and the Fantastics, you would have the NWA World Champion, whoever it might be, coming through Mid-South, but they would be center way. The main event would be the tag team titles, the Mid-South tag team titles, not the NWA tag team titles. And they would sell out the Superdome with tag teams, because that's how the story was. Those guys knew what they were doing. And I don't know. I love tag team wrestling, and they're doing their best to just.
Hey, I love faction wrestling too. And I totally know what you mean, where it's like, okay, so I watch New Japan and go, that's how factions work. I watch AEW and I go, what are you guys doing? You're killing people in factions. So it's like good philosophy and bad philosophy out of the same sort of logic. It's just.
Yeah, speaking of factions, you might know the answer to this because I didn't see it. I know the Gates of Agony and Ricochet won, but I don't know who took the pin for the Hurt Syndicate. Was it MVP?
Oh, I can't remember the specific. No.
Yeah, so I mean, I know they won. I figured that would be the way to do it, was to pin MVP with him being in the match, but I'm not sure if that's what they did or not.
I'm hoping they keep Gates Agony on the main roster. I hate that we're calling it this too, but I think they're great. Okay, great might be a strong word, but they're definitely better than the Good Brothers. You know what I mean? If they're on the main roster, I'm okay with that. I like their look. I like their style. Sure.
Well, I mean, the Good Brothers kind of, I mean, they're not
Not to
them.
pick on the Good Brothers, but
no, I know, but I mean, the Good Brothers in America remind me of when Doc and Gordy came back over here from Japan, when they were such a dominant tag team in Japan. And, yeah, they let them look good over here. And I don't know if anybody will remember, but they were the NWA World Tag Team Champions. But instead of losing them, I forgot. I don't remember who they wanted them to drop them to. But they're like, no, we're just going back to Japan. You're not doing that to us. Because kind of like Bruiser Brody not laying down for Hulk Hogan. It's going to, yeah, okay, you're going to pay me to do this, but you're killing my money everywhere else. And so Doc and Gordy just, nope, we're not doing it.
And I think a lot of North Americans, it's not just Americans, I don't want to point fingers because Canadians do it too. I think a lot of North Americans don't realize how much money can be made overseas. So some people, when they go to Japan and they're making like equivalent to hundreds of thousands of North American dollars, they're going, oh, I can feed my kids doing this. And then they come back to the States or they come back to Canada and they go, oh, I don't know if I can feed my kids on this.
Well, and something a lot of people might not know as well was, for his shitty wrestling career that he had here in the States, and for how bad he was on TV as a general manager, John Laurinaitis got a pretty big over there in Japan.
Oh, there's a pretty interesting list of people who were amazingly big. Like Vader was big here, but Vader was so much bigger.
Oh yeah,
in Japan.
And people, fun fact of the day, John Laurinaitis, whatever finish he was doing in Japan, it was something similar to the Stone Cold Stunner, and that's where that came from.
It's a cut. Yeah, it's a flat back cutter instead of a diamond stunner. Oh, here's an odd question going back to the AEW show. Minor thing, but I like to get people's opinions on this. So at the end of Darby versus Mox, Darby, through a series of actions, had Mox in a body bag, took lighter fluid, I think, sprayed the bag with lighter fluid, and then lit it on fire. What do you think of those kind of stunts in professional wrestling?
I think that could have been that would have been a lot better off if he wasn't back on TV last night with looking like he was fine.
100% agree. I think there's room for movie style stunts in professional wrestling. I've seen cheapo movies where people get lit on fire and those stunt guys are fine. So I'm pretty sure some of those stunts are, especially if you have camera trickery, where we can put something on the inside of the bag, we can put something on your clothes, we can, do a little bit of movie magic. And now it's just big flames. We put it out, you're fine. But yeah, you got to come out the next day with a big limp, with crutches, something selling. Oh my God, my leg.
All right. Yeah. Apparently, MVP took the pin.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the match, he acknowledged the win for, I guess they're being called the Demand now, but stated he has unfinished business with them despite giving them credit for their performance. But yes, MVP, like we thought, took the loss.
Oh, gotcha.
Which again was the right thing. I mean, that they needed to come out on top, and without Bobby and Shelton looking weak.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't mind that. I don't mind that kind of stuff. We know what kind of matches we're going to get from Darby and Moxley, especially when they're against each other. And to put him in, if you want to do that, it's kind of like the same thing I talked to you about Okada and the Rainmaker. Mm-hmm. It's like it doesn't bother me as a finish. It's what everybody else does that to me in that setting makes the person laying down to the Rainmaker look weak, because the last guy got put through 85 tables and dropped on his neck 65 times, and you get all these different finishes.
Like everybody's doing it the wrong way, so when someone does it the right way, it looks weird.
Yeah, well,
I think the Rainmaker's a perfect finish. It's a back bump. It's a
I agree. I am not mad at the short arm clothesline.
I love it. I love it to death.
But it's like I said, it goes back to just everything else you see people,
Oh yeah, when you got like Pac and is flying around in the air, and you got all these crazy finishes. Oh yeah, I can definitely see how the Rainmaker is
Well, you know, Adam Page doing the dead eye to whoever it was, he did the dead eye to on the steps. Might have been MJF.
So here's might be a bad example, but I think it fits perfect. So the GTS, Kenta's move on the shoulders, pop you up, knee you, bam. So that was good 10 years ago. Punk stole it. He stole it. I won't say that. That's a tough word to use, but yeah, he took it. He used it in WWE. It's a good move. Super simple. You don't even bump, which is great. You only have to get them on your shoulders, which can be a problem if you're fighting like
Big
Brock.
Show.
Yeah,
Big
right.
Show.
So the problem is that people have seen that move for so long that they need to like elevate the GTS. I forget who it was, but they put them on the shoulders and they do like a 360 spin into the knee. They need to elevate the GTS. But it's like, no, guys. I get what you're doing, but the GTS is good because it's so simple. You don't need to expand upon it. DDT's a finish. You know what I mean? Like, slow it down, brother. Slow it down.
Well, not only did I love the way Jake did the DDT, but the way he said the DDT came about just warmed my heart. It was a mistake. I mean,
it was a mistake that did legitimate damage to make everyone go.
Well, and you know, if you've heard him tell the story, he was wrestling Len Denton, the spoiler. And
I always get it confused for when he actually did it to the dragon, where he got him, and the dragon's head swole up like this.
When he said he didn't want to do it, and you know, Steamboat kept saying he could protect himself, and Vince was like, he said it, and Jake's like, no, he can't.
Whole head was like
he
this.
couldn't.
That was scary.
Yeah, but now Jake, wait till he tells the story. He said because his knee lift. If anybody ever saw Jake Roberts early in his career, his finish was a knee lift, and he gave a nasty knee lift. And
the Booty Man once used a high knee. No, nothing. No one laughed. They didn't laugh in WCW either.
But yeah, I mean, he said he put Len Denton in the front face lock, and they were in the corner, and he said thank God Len Denton was a lot smarter than he was. He said he was backing out of that corner and he tripped over his own damn 2 feet. And he said, the way Len Denton went down, he said he's looking around going, oh man, anybody see I just fell? He goes, and Len Denton's going, he said he heard the crowd. And he's like, pin me now.
Oh, yeah. Crowds know when something odd happens.
And
they
well, see, that was my thing too years ago, that Punk could have done as the veteran, because they will let a veteran call something in the ring if they see reason for it. But and I know
remember when Triple H pulled his quad in the middle of the match and Shawn kind of went and just grabbed a chair and started hitting everyone? Look, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And if you're Shawn, go for it. We'll trust you.
Well, I'll get back to him in a quick second. But the match that I'm talking the match that I'm talking about was on Dynamite, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been on oh dear God, what was the one that got canceled?
Collision.
No, Collision's still going.
Dark.
No, it was it would come on Friday nights at like 10 o'clock or something.
Oh, what? Why is this?
Yeah, we're both drawing a blank, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, there was a C show.
That's one of the ones that Punk would be on to try to draw more ratings. But the match was Punk versus Powerhouse Hobbs, and this is where Punk could have made Powerhouse Hobbs, because he caught him in that spine buster coming off the top rope, like the middle of the ring, not turnbuckle. And that spine buster looked and sounded so nasty. It would have been so simple for Punk to just go, I'm laying here. I'm going to take the pin. And then,
when you finish.
Well, not only that, but, just say, you know what? I thought I was, he caught me off guard. I'm going to get him next time. But that caught me off guard. That's, yeah, he knocked the wind out of me and got the 3 count. It won't happen again.
You do. You build so he does a spine buster. Okay. You have Punk go, look, I was getting him. I would have won, but that spine buster got me. That was a brutal, oh man. And then you have it happen again and again. And now it's like, remember Kevin Nash with the jackknife where it became dangerous? Now you got something. Hobbs now has a dangerous move that he can do to anyone that could potentially put them on the shelf. Sign me up.
Yeah, like I said, if Punk and you never know what anybody was thinking, but to me, it's like if you could have just got past your ego for 5 seconds and laid there, you could have, because his name's big enough to where he could have spun it any way he wanted it. It would not have hurt his value at that time to AEW.
Honestly, he could have just said that, like, he could have given any injury. He could have said, "Oh, I kind of hit my head a little bit on the spine buster. Not his fault. It's totally my fault. But yeah, that's why I didn't kick out in time."
Or if he wanted to be the smart ass that he's known for being all these years, he could have simply said, "Have you seen this dude? Let me see. Let me see you go. Let me see you go fight him and see how you do."
Oh, what was that? It was like Triple H said Kurt Angle was too small to be champion, and Pat Patterson stood up and went, "All right, you fight him right now for shoots." And Triple H sat down. It's like, you got a point. It is hard.
I wished I could remember who was talking about it. You were talking about finishes being simple, but I heard an interview. Well, it's been years ago, but the guy was talking about his finish. Damn, I can't remember who it was, but it was kind of a simplistic finish. It was no picking them up or anything like that. They're like asking where he got it from. He said, "When I started thinking about my finish, I wanted to make sure it was a finish that I could put on anybody. Mm-hmm. If you weighed 150 pounds or if you weighed 450 pounds,
very important element. Yeah,
I can still put it on you." And he goes, that's how I started doing it. I want to say it might have been a sleeper chokehold or something like that.
Even the GTS, there's a benchmark there where I have to be able to pick you up.
Yeah.
What if I'm fighting Yokozuna? Okay, in WWE, there's not a lot of Yokozunas, but in the independent scene, there's a fair amount of Yokozunas. Like, not putting anyone down. I'm just saying that body size is a bit more common in the indies, so you have to be prepared.
Yeah, but I think AEW did a very, very good job over the past week and a half of really elevating Kyle Fletcher, which is something I give them a hard time for not doing.
It's we know he's a star. They're just in the motions of making sure that.
Yeah, I think they did a real good job of it. I'm interested to see what Cope is doing. I can't see the last we see of him was him walking away because Beth made a one-time appearance and got pile driven and ran off to the sunset. Willow actually cut a good promo last night. They were out there talking, her history with Stokely, and she came out and was, she's lost some weight too. She's Willow looking good. They just got to change that gimmick up. I ain't big on.
I don't. Okay. No, I hate saying this because everyone takes it always the weird way. I think Willow should stay a little bit on the bigger side. I don't know her health or body type, whatever. So if she's slimming down to be healthier, sure, not taking anything away from that. But her body type helps her stand out from all the other women.
Don't worry, man. She's just that ass is still there.
I'm not. See, that's what that's what I'm worried about.
But yeah, when she come out there and cut her promo, it was. She was talking about Beth, and she was talking about, growing up watching Beth, and she says, "It's women like Beth that made women like me not take shit from men like you." I'm like, "Ooh, get him, girl."
You put yourself over. You put Beth over. Thumbs up. That's a promo.
And then the main event was Chris defending against Mia Shinakawa, and of course Chris beat her with the seatbelt. Then the Death Riders come out, and she winded up. It looks like she's about to go with them, and she smacks Wheeler, flips off Mox, and runs up through the crowd.
Was it Wheeler or was it Pac? Because they look so similar now.
Oh no, it was Wheeler she smacked.
I don't know why they made Pac dress exactly the same as everyone else.
Well, that and Pac when I saw him come back, he cut all that hair he had off. Now he just looks.
And he's clothed.
Yeah,
Pac's running gimmick was he was always in trunks.
Yep, he took me a second. I'm like, is that? Yeah, it is. But so they
because he's in clothes, you can't.
And then next week they got it set up. It's Wheeler and Marina against Willow and Darby, maybe.
I gotta check. It's like as much as I watch AEW, it feels I think it's
Darby. Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's Darby, but and I know I don't remember because I know they made an official. I Quit match with Mox and Darby. I don't know if that's supposed to be next week or what, but yeah. But anyway, Willow come out and cut a real good promo, and I'm saying that was kind of where I was going with like the FTR thing. They were out there doing whatever, and I mean, where he got his nose broke last week. His nose was still out to here, you know. So
yeah,
like,
that's
damn.
an odd injury. I don't think it heals like the same way for everyone. I think noses are just weird.
Yeah, but anyway, so I was just sitting there listening to him talk, and I'm like, you know, Stokely sucks. He sucked as Malcolm Bivens in NXT, and then, you know, it's just like, but I mean, on the flip side of it, what I know what they're trying to do, because Ricky and Robert didn't have a manager. They got over because Ricky could talk, and Ricky sold like $1 million. But Condrey, if you go back in, you know, the days of him not having a manager, Condrey cut a decent promo, and Stan could talk. Bobby couldn't talk worth shit. And so without Jim Cornette, the Midnight Express ain't doing nothing. Yeah. They were a great tag team in the ring. They needed Jim Cornette. And there's been some other tag teams like that. I mean, the Horsemen were, you know, that's why they're so revered to this day, because they were the first of their kind. The rest of them were, you know, the Heenan family, Jimmy Hart's first family, Paul Jones' army. You know, it was just a bunch of mid-shift guys floating around. And, you know, what Paul Lee did in the dark WCW years with the Dangerous Alliance, having Steve Austin, Rick Rude, Medusa, Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, and Bobby Eaton, doesn't get enough credit when you're talking about stables. But, you know, the Horsemen could all talk, and it just, you know, like, I get what they're trying to do with Stokely, but I think they could have found somebody off the independent scene to do a whole lot better job than Stokely.
Yeah, it's.
So what you said you watched a lot. What kind of New Japan stuff did you watch this week?
Okay, so I don't have much news on the New Japan front because it was a very status quo show. So anybody who came out, there wasn't any like, you know, there wasn't any like, whoa, standout matches. It was just sort of, we're going through the motions so we can get to the big show coming up. I will say I watched GCW. I have a couple notes on this that I want to talk about because I think they're kind of interesting. Game Changer Wrestling. For those who don't know, that is where's Zack Ryder? Trying to remember. Matt Cardona is his current name.
It's funny you bring that up because that's something I actually forgot to say about NXT. When they had all that whole TNA people coming out watching the match, he was one of them. And, you know, for him to make his return to WWE in such a, oh, hey, look, it's Matt Cardona, you know, instead of, you know, being hyped up or doing a run in or, you know, whatever way you want
there.
He's just there. I'm like,
poor Matt. But like, okay, so I haven't seen Game Changer Wrestling in a long time. It's very CZW, like it's very indie, it's very violent. So I'm like, sure, I'll try it. First match, it is a cage match. So, this is going to be violent and bloody. The story is, big guys duct taped in the corner, like literally duct taped, sitting in the corner. The heel is like forking him in the head. He won't give up. He does a gusset plate in his head. He won't give up. Pissing blood. He won't give up. The heel grabs the babyface's wife out of the crowd, pulls her into the ring, and says, "Give up or I'm going to hurt her." And then they're like, no, I'm not giving up. No, I'm not going to hurt her. Blah, okay, whatever. Boom, does a big double stomp to the wife's head. They sell it like crazy. Okay, so we have this feud. Let's say I've beaten up your wife. I've cut up your face like a pizza cutter. How do you think this match is won?
All that stuff, man. It's if you're really trying to keep somebody over, was it I quit? Is that what it was?
It was a cage match with a literal like blood feud about hurting your wife. How did this person win this match?
Escape the cage.
They walked out of the cage. I get what they did because they retaped the heel in the corner and did all that stuff again. But as soon as he walked out and the bell rang, I went, nah.
We've talked about this before, man. That shit drives me crazy.
And that's why it hit me because I was like, we've talked about this recently, and this is not how you do a blood feud blow off. Is walking.
Absolutely not, because you know
if you're 2, 3.
Well, you don't even have to do that. You know, you just something that occasion right there, you choke them and put them in your hold or your finish or whatever till they pass out, and you know you yeah, you beat their ass, but it still gives them a little bit of credibility. And then the refs and other people have to come finally pull you off because that's, that's getting across how angry you are
I think
about what he did to your wife.
If this is their big show, like if this is their Mania or whatever, you need for that match a visual win. You need the heel to tap out. You need the 1, 2, 3 pin. You need something so cemently to go, this is over. He won. He clearly won. Walking out of the cage, the heel didn't give up. The heel's still trying to fight. You didn't win. Like, I saw that and went, this is stupid. Now, I have a good one that does the opposite. So they're building the story for the next match. They're showing a video of a scaffold match, and it wasn't like above the ring, like the old school Midwest or Mid-Atlantic matches. I think are the ones. It was like off to the side, like the ECW ones. So the match, the building to the finish is I can't tell if they're heel or face because I only saw a few minutes of them, but the guy, I'm going to throw you off the scaffolding through a door, through barbed wire, through glass, through light tubes. And I was like, that's the finish right there. Like you just fell through chaos. The guy did a splash as a finish. So off the scaffolding, he lands. And I went, oh, a splash is kind of, what's the word? Counter, like that's not the big finish. You just threw the guy through like chaos. But the guy doing the splash was 400 pounds. And I went, that would hurt way more than going through glass. Or so I like laughed. I went, wow, that finish is so much simpler and sounds worse. It was perfect. Because if Yokozuna did a splash off scaffolding onto you, you'd be dead. Shoot. You know what I mean? So it's like, I really thought it was funny that one match had such a wonky finish and the other one had a wonky finish that actually was like logical. Like,
yeah, it's why it drives me crazy. We've talked about it before because, the cage match for the blow off was always the heel was running. The heel was having, like Ric Flair having the 4 horsemen get involved. The cage match was the blow off of not having anybody come in, not being able to get away from your opponent.
It stops Bobby Heenan. It stops Mr. Fuji.
All that stuff. And it's like, the first time I want to say it was Hulk Hogan, that big blue cage that WWF used to have. And that was that was the first time I ever saw somebody escape the cage to win. And I'm like, what is that? And I have not liked it ever since. It's like, when Punk and Seth went up against each other on the Netflix debut of Raw in the cage, and Seth beat him, but it was because he got knocked through knocked out of the cage through the door. And I'm just like, it wasn't a clean win over Punk, so it didn't knock him down or anything, but it's just like, really, that's how we're going to win this match?
The only time, now, okay, this is just the top of my head, so forgive me if I'm wrong. The only time that's ever match finish has ever worked was Big Show versus JBL, where JBL got smashed through the ring canvas. Big Show walks over to the door, walks out of the door, steps down, ding, ding, ding. Winner of the match, JBL, turns, and he had rolled out from under the ring. So he had escaped the ring by being put through the canvas. And I went, that's brilliant. Brilliant finish.
They did a couple like that when
like
he
that
first,
I like.
Yeah, when he first
over is baloney.
Yeah, when he first came in and he was feuding, he came in with Vince to feud with Austin. It was something similar. He threw Austin against, it was, of course, far in the match. He threw Austin up against the cage, and he threw him so hard the cage broke and fell down. And Austin was still on the cage.
Swung open. Yeah.
It fell down on the floor, and Austin was still on the actual gate part on one of the chain link part, and all he had to do when he rolled off, he got the win. And the Big Show
looks like $1 million, right?
Yep. And then there was the tables match with Big Show and Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one?
Oh, this is the one where Cody drop kicks him and he steps down onto the table. I think that's a brilliant finish. People can make fun of that. I think that's brilliant.
No, it is. It goes back to making things look,
And to give Show the credit, the camera pans up like a sitcom, and he knows it. As soon as you see Big Show's face, you go, "Oh, you understand. You get.
It doesn't always have to look like a car crash to make sense.
It's vaudeville. As soon as you see the face, everything's explained. He knows he's screwed up. He knows, like."
Yeah, when talking about old matches, before I get into the little bit of history for today, my favorite match on Raw of all time is still Shelton Benjamin and Shawn Michaels.
Wasn't that? It's like, didn't they have a banger on SmackDown too? But I could just be confused.
They might have put them back together after that, but Shawn said that, I've heard him talk about it. He said that finish had been talked about with different people, but it's such a timing issue that they never went through with it. And I forgot what the special thing was, but he's like, you have to know Shelton. He's such a nice guy, and he is such a tremendous athlete that if you don't know him, you might think he's coming off a little bit cocky. He said, but he's really not. He's like, when we asked him, could he do it? Could he get over there? He goes, it wasn't a matter of Shelton being able to get over there with his physical prowess. It was a matter of Shelton being able to get that far across the ring after we've wrestled for 20 minutes already.
And also protect himself.
Yep.
In that moment, land safely. Oh, it's a nightmare of logistics.
And he said, Shawn just said when him and Vince asked him, he's like, yeah, sure, I can do it. And he goes, and I said then, he goes, if I don't trust him of all people to be able to do it, I'm never going to do this. So, if it goes well, it goes well. If it don't, it don't. We'll see what happens.
Apparently, Cesaro is similar, where everybody goes, oh, we want to try a move. Hey, Claudio, can we try this with you? He says if Claudio can't do it, no one can do it. So they'll try a move. If I remember correctly, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, that big RKO. If I remember correctly, Seth called Claudio, hey, can you help us practice? He says, if Claudio can't do it, no one can do it. So he's like,
yeah, what a lot of people don't remember about that Shawn Michaels Benjamin match, yet the finish everybody remembers. But it was, it was a 20 plus minute match, and and both those guys, could go, and it was a hell of a match. So, but let's get through this real quick. 25 years ago, Monday Night Raw aired on TNN, marking the first time the show had aired on any other network besides USA since its debut in '93. And if you remember correctly, what was airing on TNN before they signed the WWE was ECW. Ooh. And the signing of the WWE got rid of ECW.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. 30 years ago today, Owen Hart and Yokozuna were reinstated as tag team champions, negating a victory the night before by Shawn Michaels and Diesel. It's not really interesting. Stars and Stripes, Marcus Alexander Bagwell and the Patriot defeated Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff of Pretty Wonderful to win the WCW tag team titles.
That's a great tag team name, by the way.
Which one?
The Pretty Wonderful. The Paul Orndorff and...
as much as I know about this man, I did not know this was how he made his debut. 43 years ago today, James E. Cornette made his professional wrestling debut managing, wait for it, Sherry Martel in Memphis.
Wow. That is not the name I thought was going to be...
That's why I just looked up. I was reading it. I'm like, as much as I know about that man, I did not know that.
That is extreme. Yeah, you'd never think that those two names would match up somewhere along the timelines. But yeah, it kind of does make sense.
All right, let's see. Today is the 73rd birthday of gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. Tell you a funny story about him. The first fan convention, whatever they were calling it back then. It wasn't a Comic-Con, but it was a Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, fan convention that we went to. And if you've ever seen Jimmy Garvin back in the day as gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, he didn't really do it once he got paired with Hayes as, the next Freebird, but he'd always go, yeah, it's not my fault. And
big Snitsky fan, I take it.
And so we're walking around and I hear this guy going, come on, man, do it for me. And by this time, if you've seen Jimmy Garvin in the past 20 years, he doesn't have that big 80s hair. He's bald.
I can imagine, yeah.
And he's like, No. And I turned around and I'm like, oh shit, that's Jimmy Garvin. But I got a big kick out of that. See, he was just so nonchalant. He wasn't nasty about it. He's just like, no. It's like, damn. Let's see. 25 years ago tonight marked a low point in wrestling history as Vince Russo defeated Booker T inside a steel cage to win the WCW championship. The finish came when Goldberg speared Russo through the cage wall, sending him crashing to the floor for the win.
Russo's revenge.
Yeah. Let's see.
I still like that cage type. I don't care what anyone says. I know there's a lot of bollocks matches happen, but the triple cage, I love the design.
Oh, that thing from Ready to Rumble.
I think it's a great match type. You go up. That makes sense.
Yeah. 38 years ago tonight, Ronnie Garvin. Yes, he did. This was
rubbish. Ronnie Garvin.
Yeah, the Hands of Stone. This is when he beat Ric Flair. Because this was when they were setting up. That was the year it was supposed to be going into Starrcade that Magnum was going to beat Ric Flair for the title at Starrcade that year. Mm-hmm. But of course, Magnum, he had his car wreck, and that wasn't going to happen. So they had to set something up, and they put the title on Garvin, and Flair got it back at Starrcade instead of losing it like he was. That was 38 years ago tonight. Happy 55th birthday to Aja Kong. Oh. One of the most dominant figures in women's wrestling. She made her debut in All Japan Pro Wrestling, a multi-time champion in Japan. She also appeared briefly in the WWF in 1995.
It's like, honestly, potentially the greatest. I know Becky's going to get mad. I know Mercedes is going to get mad. But Aja Kong legitimately has the claim to be the greatest female performer of all time. Like, I'm not going to say she is. I'm going to say she's got claim to be. We'll say, we'll leave it open-ended like that.
Well, I mean, really at this point, we don't have the women's history that the men do, of course, because, the women's revolution was started really in the States about 15 years ago, give or take, getting us out of the Divas era.
Well, you can even say Gail Kim in TNA. There was a period with her and Kong, like.
Yep, Gail Kim was, she was excellent in both, WWF and TNA. She recently got fired from TNA, and I still haven't been able to really figure out why.
We can end on this. I think I know what she said because she said something recently that was somewhat controversial that I want to have a comment on, but I think it might have been that comment, but I could be totally wrong. That could have just been a side effect of her losing her job, but
you never know. Let's see. 42 years ago, Brett Wayne upset Larry Zbyszko to win the national heavyweight title in Atlanta. And Stanley Weston, born on this day in 1919, he was the founder of the Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, and Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazines.
Yeah.
That's something
we could have talked about. Maybe we'll do it next week. I think the PWI Top 500 came out.
Well, that'll give us some study time because I'm glad you brought that up because I almost forgot. Unless you can get Connor to come on here with you. We will be preempted next week because next weekend is when I'm getting married.
Oh, congrats.
Yep, Thursday and Friday going to be quite busy for me, and then Saturday, and I will share some video, but just to give you a visual. I had told her. I'll tell a quick story. Her and I dated in high school years ago. Back when we were doing homework with the hammer and chisel, and went our separate ways, and a lot of time passed. We kind of circled each other through some tragedy and shit. We both came back together, hadn't been apart since, wouldn't trade her for anything in the world. I ain't gonna tell you how old I am. We're good. We're up there.
You're 29, I was fine. Right?
Huh?
You're 29, right?
26 actually.
Oh, okay. No, I was close. Yeah.
But anyway, so I asked her, and did the whole, ring thing. And I was, I'm at our age, I'm perfectly fine with going down and to the courthouse and doing it. And she's like, well, you've never done the big thing before, have you? I said, no, I haven't. But I don't feel that, I don't need that. I got you. That's all I care about. And she goes, no, we're going to do this. I'm like, she goes, we're going to do this for you. I'm like, oh, okay. So in this situation, she keeps calling me the bride. And just to tell you a little bit I am actually, I'm not coming out last. She's a champ. She's still coming. She's still getting her. She getting that. She's coming out
getting
last.
Her flowers. Yeah.
However, I'm getting my own theme song, and I am wearing a pink suit in honor of my daughter who's passed. Her favorite color was pink. She is making me change after the ceremony to match the groomsmen, so we can do the fake stage ceremony pictures. So she's worried about she's worried about how the pink might come out in some of those pictures. But I am actually wearing a completely pink suit.
Okay, can I guess what song you're gonna come out to?
You can try.
Because I have I'm not saying this because I'm a big fan of his, but if you don't come out to Mr. Wonderful,
nope.
What's the point? What's the point of anything?
I will tell you the only theme song that I will give you is the bridal party. They're not coming out separate. They're coming down male, female, male, female. They are coming down to the Roman Reigns tribal chief theme. And when the last one gets in place, they're going to go ahead and throw up the ones.
Oh,
and then
you should come out to the Billy Gunn song and have your wife at the end of the aisle, and all you hear is, "I'm an ass man."
Oh, she got enough ass. She knows I'm an ass man. So I mean, we don't need to broadcast that. Anybody
I think it's just a bit of fun. Yeah.
Oh no, trust me. I'll send you the video before I post it. I'll let you get a kick out of it once I clear my head on Sunday. But yeah, I told her, I said, I'm gonna have something. I said, you want to do this for me? I'm gonna have some fun with it. So yeah, message Connor, see if you guys can do it next week. If not, we'll be back the following week because I got a busy week next week. So
we'll find
and if I'll take a look. If you see the link, send it to me for the PWI 500 top 500.
I'll see what I can find.
And because I'll be interested to see who they put number one again this year. Because I think wasn't it Kenny last year? Or was it Will?
I want to say it was. Oh, it could have been either of them. I want to say Cody won this year, but I could totally be blurring on that.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's been all kinds of good stuff and all kinds of bad stuff. Like I said, WrestlePalooza, ESPN said you suck. You got to do better because we just gave you like $1.5 billion. All out.
I am interested in ESPN kind of not blowing, smoke up their ass, but being kind of realistic and saying, you guys.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's what they need. I mean, Netflix has been, oh my God, we're so pleased with this deal. We're so pleased with the people. Do better. You
got to do better. You can't have this show and these prices. You got to.
Yeah, you got to do better to make people want to spend this money. And again, everything I saw from All Out, I thought they did the right things with a lot of stuff, making it, they made a star out of Kyle Fletcher. They put the belt on Chris Statlander. The Gates of Agony and Ricochet won by pinning MVP. There was a lot of good things that came out of that. And so we MJF going back to find himself. So, maybe he took Cope's, advice to Christian, go find yourself. So you never know, all kinds of stuff coming your way. And,
I got one rhetorical question before we leave. It's a rhetorical, so you don't have to answer it, and we can end on this if you want. There has been some controversy in the internet wrestling community because Riho has come back, and some people are debating whether Riho is big enough or is too small to be a credible threat in AEW or in professional wrestling. They call into the credibility. They call into all this. Now, all I'm going to say is if you put Riho and AJ Lee side by side, the difference is like 15 pounds. So, rhetorical question, why is AJ's return amazing and Riho's return is...
Well, two things. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and AEW has not done a good job over the past 5 3/4 years of putting Riho on the same platform as AJ Lee. And
look, I can accept that answer. I know it's like we don't want to dive into it, but it's like I can accept that answer because it's a kayfabe answer. But if people are talking about body types and they're talking about size, I feel like it's just an odd, one's okay and one's not okay. I don't know.
No, I agree with you, and I've told you before. I'm probably the wrong one to ask because, if they put me in the middle, like if they put me right there with the entire, we're going to show you WWE. They stuck the entire WWE roster, women's roster in front of me and said, you can have any of them you want. Just pick one. I'm going to look right at Nia Jax's big ass and say, come on. I'm going to prove to the world that I can last 8 seconds on this ride. Come on, girl. So,
and his rest in peace. He died from snoo.
you know what? At least